We have this from Taylor Hansen. Tenant Media shout out. He tweets, as I'm on my way home to Salt Lake City, Utah, I noticed 6 illegal immigrants are also boarding the same American Air flight. Looks like I've got some new neighbors. I want to pull up, I'll pull up the tweet. Maybe they've pinned it. I don't know where. Okay, Tenant's covering all the caucus stuff. There's a video that, oh, holy crap. Iran has allegedly launched an attack on a U.S. consulate in Iraq, is it?
Well, those were the original reports, but the Iranians are now saying that they're attacking a rebel group that is against Iran inside of Iraq. So far, we have not gotten any confirmations that U.S. targets were picked out here.
Wow, crazy.
Oh, and Vivek was hitting another caucus site, so he may be much later.
Well, c'est la vie. We have this story from Tenant Media. This is crazy, and we should definitely talk about this pertaining to the U.S. elections. Last night, Tenant reporter Taylor USA confronted multiple SATX police working a side gig where they're helping facilitate human smuggling at the Migrant Resource Center in San Antonio, Texas. The officers are seen wearing their official SAPD uniforms, driving work vehicles, and holstering their service weapons while accepting money from alleged cartel-sponsored NGOs to guard the facility and check illegal migrants' wristbands upon entry. We attempted to reach out to SATX police for comment on the situation and received no response. This story is massive. It's got 2.3 million views just on the single tweet alone. And this is what I was talking about. The fear of what happens when law enforcement is committing crimes. What happens? These are what is it, San Antonio police? Using police and publicly funded vehicles, weapons, and equipment to help facilitate alleged cartel, human smuggling operations. We got that report just last week. The DOJ is suing Texas because Texas deployed armed soldiers to block CBP access to the river. You now have a bubbling conflict between corrupt law enforcement facilitating human trafficking and smuggling and law enforcement at the state level trying to stop it. Where does that go?
I defer to the states. The states have a duty to defend themselves.
Right, but what do you think happens if the federal government doesn't back down? And what do you think happens if Nikki Haley wins?
It's an interesting conundrum for the federal government. Hopefully their goal is to support states' rights, ideally, is cohesion, and you don't want to press the states away. And also they're dealing with geopolitical nightmare with this, like you're talking about the Houthis, what's going on in Ukraine and Israel, all these things. Hopefully the United States does not push the issue on this. I mean, Texas made very clear.
Okay, what does that mean? The United States. They are actively facilitating human smuggling into this country and have been for several years. The charts show that there's no way it's an accident. The rates are double, triple, or quadruple what they were under Trump and under Obama. So it's on purpose. Yep. And the only state doing anything somewhat is Texas, while the other states do nothing.
Kind of made me think about the American Civil War. I was thinking about the Emancipation Proclamation and how Abraham Lincoln was like, hey, all you slaves in the South, you're free. And kind of like, and by the way, if you want to fight for the North, go for it. All these illegal immigrants, if the federal government were like, hey, all you illegal immigrants, you can have citizenship if you want to fight for the federal government, if you know what I mean, kind of thing. Like if there's just to like disincentivize people from trying to create some sort of civil war in the United States.
We talk about this quite a bit on the show, but we have you here, Benny. I'm curious your thoughts on this border issue, right? You've got state level fighting with federal officers to the point where there are armed soldiers deployed against federal law enforcement.
So all of this goes back to the 1960s, Cloward and Piven and the communists who sort of wrote the neo-Marxist vision for America and how to bring Marxism to America. And one of the number one things you needed to do was balloon the welfare state large enough so that it actually collapses the federal dollar and the federal government's capacity. That's the number one way to create crisis. America would never be conquered. This was after World War II. So how do you actually bring down a behemoth like America? How do you bring down the beast that is America? You have to destroy it from within. You have to give it some type of horrible malady and something that is so insufferable that it can't move forward. And so their idea was swell the welfare rolls, which you saw with the Great Society program, swell the welfare rolls so big that the federal government can never afford it. And then that will create, of course, the millstones of high taxation and inflation that grind the middle class, and you get no middle class. And so the way that you swell the welfare rolls is to bring people here that don't speak the language, that have no skills, that can't get jobs or are having a tough time, or can't work legally, but are accessible, are able to get on welfare programs. And California is leading the way in this. And that's the way that you actually collapse the United States of America. I think that's the ultimate strategy here. A lot of people are like, well, they'll vote Democrat. I think, fine, yes, maybe, yes. But the real goal is the collapse of the country as we know it. And that was the vision set out by the theorists, the Marxist theorists, neo-Marxist theorists, who Barack Obama is the acolyte of.